So good morning class 11. Now we have to learn today the poem Father to Son. This poem has been written by Elizabeth Jennings. We have already learned 3 stanzas. Today we have to learn 4th stanza of this poem. Let's see very carefully, because as I told you, this poem indicates the relationship between father and a son. As father is anguished, frustrated with his son, because according to him, son is not giving proper time to him. Father is not able to even understand the emotions of son. So this is a controversy. This is an anguished relationship that is being explained by author in this poem. Let's see the 4th stanza. What does it say? 4th stanza says, Father and son, we both must live on the same globe and the same land. He speaks, I cannot understand myself why anger grows from grief. We each put out an empty hand, longing for something to forgive. This is the line. Here in this poem, in this stanza, the son speaks for the first time and explains what he feels. In this stanza, as you know, as I told you, the poem is whole about the conversation between father and son. The thinking and imagination of his father, what does he think about his son. So in the 4th stanza, first time, the son speaks and explains what he feels. He also feels sad. He is telling here that he also feels sad about the distance between father and son. He shares that he is at a point where he does not understand himself. His anger arises out of his sadness. It is quite clear that on both sides ties the same frustration about the gaps in their relationship. They both want to forgive each other, and yet they cannot find solution to the problem. Both of them put out an empty hand for the other, sick, always in vain. So it is a very confusion. It is a very confusing kind of a state where the son speaks and tells to himself that I don't know why my angerness come out from the grief and why I could not understand my father. Both of them tried to solve the problem, but it was very difficult to sort out the rising problem. The problem was that this was the big difference that is called here the generation gap. Father feels that my son is not the same son what I know, and the son is expecting from his father that he should cooperate whatever he is wishing. This is the paraphrasing of the 4th stanza, where we would know the grief word, underline the word grief. Grief means sorrow. Okay? In the next, we would like to know that what did you understand from this poem. Okay? So good morning dear students. Today we are going to summarize the poem Father to Son. Take the part of this poem. This poem has been written by Elizabeth Jennings. The poem Father to Son is all about the anguish of a father who does not have a good relationship with his son. His son is now grown up and is busy in his life. The father is bitter about the generation gap between them and the feelings of separation. He shares his feelings his feelings by saying he does not know much about him and there is no sign of understanding. He wants their relationship to be just like when his son was a child. He is trying his best to resolve the issues, but he is in vain. Therefore, they are different apart. It is a very common kind of a situation of our society, because these days son who has been continuously living with his father, suddenly after growing up he starts to think about the generation gap. He starts to think about his own circle, society where he lived, but he forgets that what his father has done in past. So, this poem also knocks the heart of each and every sons, those who are doing such kind of job, such kind of things they are being faced. So, in the first stanza, writer shares his feelings about his relationship with his son and says that although they both had lived together in the same house for many years, yet he does not understand him. He does not know anything about his son. He likes and dislikes. He tried to build up the relationship with him from the time he was vain and small. His son was changed as he has grown up. Here in the first stanza, this is the anguish of a father, that he is expecting that he should turn himself according to me. In the second stanza, father uses I and he acknowledges his role in the communication gap between father and son. He also gives his effort to his son. Was in another place, he seems like that. Why? What is the reason behind of it? Why my son has gone at a different place? Why the separation of love? Why the separation of love took place? Still he is asking a lot of questions to himself. He is expecting that his father should come. Other side, the confusion was that son was also expecting from his father. But finally both of them agreed to at a point and said to each other that we want to change our attitude. But it was a confusion, it was unsolved. They started seeking the solution and finally they departed. So this is the summary of this poem. The poem is moving around of each and everybody's life. In the next part, we would be able to discuss about the literary devices and the poetic licenses which is used in this poem. Okay? Okay, now let's see the literary devices which is used in this poem, Father to Son. Literary devices. Let's see, put your finger and find out the literary devices. First literary devices what we find here is simile. Very simile. And what is simile? Simile is a figure of speech that makes comparison and shows similarities between two things. For example, here we can see we speak like strangers. Here in the poem it is given we speak like strangers. So simile is a kind of a figure of speech in which like and as both are used, either like or as. So you can easily find out the simile because it is a character, it is a literary device which is used for the comparison and shows the similarities between two things. Okay, so example was we speak like strangers. Here like is written, so it is a simile. Another literary device what we find in this poem is alliteration. Where is alliteration and what is the alliteration? Let's see. Alliteration is a figure of speech which is like an occurrence of the same letter or sound of the beginning. Means the consonant sound that you can say. For example, we can find here the seed I spent or shone. So here the sound of S is being pronounced. So it is an alliteration. So we can easily find out the occurrence of the same letter or sound at the beginning is called alliteration. Example we saw sounds, silence surrounds, like same silence surrounds S at the beginning and surrounds S at the beginning. So the sound is consonant, so it is an alliteration. The next one which is used, metaphor. Metaphor is it is also a kind of figure of speech which is also called silent comparison. So an indirect comparison between a quality shared by two persons or things here called metaphor. For example, we would see the seed I spent or shone it were. The land is his. The land is his and none of mine. I would have him prodigal returning to his father's house. So it is being compared, his son is being compared to prodigal. Prodigal in the sense of I told you spending excess money. So these figure of speeches which is used in this poem, for the examination point of view, always remember these questions are asked. So we must have to go through the literary devices and find out it. Go through the poem, go through the line by line. If you have any problem regarding any meaning or explanation about the poem Father to Son, must write to me because I will try my level best to solve your problem. Till then, thank you very much.